Real people, real opinions, Real Talk Radio. The multi-award winning Niall Boylan Show.
Ireland's classic hits.
It is well known that anxiety is reaching a breaking point amongst young people, particularly in Ireland, and probably among young people all over the Western world. And there are many reasons for this. Social media, probably one of the main ones. And the after effects, of course, of the pandemic. A rise in consumerism and a decline in the community. But while we may not agree on the exact cause, it is most likely a combination of all of the above factors. And the results are clear. On one end of the scale, young people are lacking social skills and confidence. And on the other end of the scale, young people are engaging in dangerous antisocial behaviour and falling into addiction. But they're all just crying out for help of some description. And that's where a psychotherapist comes in. And I'm happy to be joined by Catherine Noonan, who is a psychotherapist and based in Dublin. Catherine, hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good. Catherine, anxiety is something that it does affect all of us, doesn't it, at some point?
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know what? It's a kind of like a buzzword only the last couple of years. And what is anxiety? It's just fear, worry, stress. It's all them like horrible feelings that we all have experienced in one shape or form. And anyways, do you know?
And is there a trigger for anxiety, or can it just come out of the blue? Like, I've often had those days. Do you know those days when you're worried about something, but you don't even know what you're worried about?
Absolutely. Well, do you know what? To be honest with you, when you think of an adolescent is like, it's a time of emotional, physical, social change. It's huge. And even change in itself, nobody even likes change, you know? So for when people are saying, oh, it's a big thing with the adolescents, I totally agree. Because as you listed out loads of stuff beforehand as well, there's so many factors that are coming into it. It's like it's all of the above and probably just one thing for one person, you know? So see the way you said that just came on to you once. You could have been just going, oh God, I'm nervous about something, or the thought of the change of this thing, because it's all the unknown kind of thing. So there's no really one right answer, if I'm honest with you, because there could be so many reasons.
I'm one of those people who hates change, by the way. I like stability.
And I'm the
hate change.
Same. Yeah, me too.
And that's why I end up staying in radio stations for 14 and 15 years at a time, because I just don't like change, even though I get offered other stuff, because it's easier just to do what you do best, isn't it, I suppose? But for young people, sorry for interrupting you, but for the young people, I mean, we talk about social media, all the different things that they have nowadays. Consumerism, of course, is common. The pandemic, of course, I'm sure caused a lot of problems for people. But are we saying that when I was young and when I was a teenager, we had less to worry about? But are young people less capable of dealing with day-to-day problems, stress, unfortunately bullying, or whatever it happens to be? Are they less capable of dealing with it? Because we know they don't socially interact as much as we used to when we were young. But are they less capable of dealing with it than we were?
Yeah, I think so. It's the skills they're lacking in communication, because like even everything's on social media, the phones, the texts and stuff, and even in that you can hide so much behind, say, a photograph that you put up, or even through a text message that they're saying to a friend instead of saying, I'm actually not feeling okay, because you can actually tell by somebody if you're face to face to somebody, you know. So it's that disconnection, I feel, what's happening with the youth today, to be honest with you, you know. And it was huge, that factor of the COVID. It was detrimental to their development, to be honest with you, you know.
It was.
Like we, of course, and to all of us in some shape or form. But at that age where you're developing all them social skills, they were robbed of a lot of stuff, really, you know. That, for me, that group was huge that was affected, to be honest with you, in them times.
And do you think, I think a lot of the kind of that age of 18 years of age, where you go out and find the world, meet a girl, go to a nightclub, have the drinks, have the crack, they lost out on that for 2 years.
Absolutely. But there was loads of landmarks that they missed out, their graduations, even some of them on their junior certs. My own son was doing transition year, which would have been a great opportunity to grow, getting social skills in workplaces and getting confidence in places that he would have grown while he was working in these places. And they lost out on all that as well, you know. So there was loads that was happening for them then, to be honest with you, you know. But yeah, social media is a huge factor as well for them. Oh my God, the whole comparing to other people on social media, and then they're not happy with themselves even the likes of the girls, even that, and I'm going to say the girls, but the fellas as well, they're all doing the tans and the bodybuilding, and the girls are getting the injections and stuff, and it's all fake stuff. It's all like body image that they're comparing themselves all the time, you know.
And they'll put a picture up, you know, of themselves pouting or whatever it is they do normally, these young people. And they get a million comments saying, you look great, you look great, you look great, love, you look great. And then they get one comment saying, you look a bit fat. And all of a sudden their life is over because that one person has said that.
Yeah, and you see, that's how they're building themselves up to be seen in the world by other people's opinion. So instead of us saying to ourselves, actually, I look all right, or do you remember years ago when we were going out to a disco, you would, like, I know the makeup thing wasn't even a big thing, and your mum would say, you look gorgeous, like, thanks, Matt, out the door, you knew you were gorgeous, you know what I mean?
And here's the thing, she was the only one that really saw you going out, or your sister, maybe your brother or something. You didn't put it up on social media to be affirmed by 100 people or 200 people. It was just the people in the house. Once they were happy, you were grand.
And that's the truth. So the youth today is kind of like seeing themselves and other people's opinions. You know,
so sad,
and
isn't it?
It is sad, and it's the way that kind of being reared in a way. And like that, it's like watching how old the kids are when they get phones, because then they're like on the social media, they're on the Snapchat, and then you have the bullying coming into that. It doesn't go just in the classroom or on the streets; it's on social media as well. So I think it's destroying them. If I'm honest with you, I don't know about you if you have children, but if you give a child a phone, their behaviour changes.
Oh, of course,
take it off them. Yeah, so
it's like taking drugs away from them. It's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But it is addictive. It is, because their brain, it's like the wires of their brain is like just trained to be focused on one thing. So and then even the games, the buzz they're getting actually addicted even to them feeling. So it is addictive. You're right.
Yeah. I could probably live with the games because at least they're not interacting with too many people. They're just interacting with the screen. But when they're interacting with other human beings, young people, it puts an awful lot of social pressure on them. So when people come to see you, I know you have your own practice space in Dublin, and you work with teenagers and adults as well. But I mean, what's the kind of typical teenager you're coming? Are they coming with drink problems, drug problems, social media problems? Are they being bullied? What's the kind of main thing they're coming to you with?
Yeah, well, you see, I work in a drug rehabilitation centre, so when I'm there, obviously it's all drugs with the youth. It's very. They'll come in sometimes saying it's alcohol, but it's all drugs in the background. But in my own private practice, it's all self-confidence. It's all self-confidence, and them just not being able to be dealing with their emotions, not being able to connect and say, this is how I'm actually feeling, you know. So, but I think that's what kind of spirals into a lot of lads or a lot of young women that don't be able to do that, and then they end up going on drugs because they're suppressing them feelings, and then they're enjoying them being numbed out, and they get addicted to that feeling, and then now all of a sudden they're addicted to the substance, you know. So it's.
And what do you say to a parent? Like, you know, I'm assuming there's telltale signs, but what do you say to a parent who, say, has a 14 or a 15-year-old daughter or son, and they feel they're kind of on the phone too much and they're gone too quiet, and you even daren't even take the phone off them or look at the phone, and they're having a conniption? Well, like, what do you say if you're starting to get concerned that it's becoming a problem for them or it's creating anxiety?
Yeah, well, for a parent, I'm a parent myself and I have teenagers and stuff. It's just all about compromise. Because when you think about it, like, their phone is, whatever's on that phone is their world right now. You take that off them, you're taking their whole world off. So obviously there's going to be murder in the house. They're going to rebel. All they're going to be is just angry at you because you've just taken everything that they love and now off them. So it's like compromising. Okay, if you want to be on that, so show us what you're doing, or, you know, like, make it like a normal thing that we can talk about. Because when parents shy away from it, then the conversations aren't being had. Show us and tell us what you're on. Show us what's real important on your phone, and let's have time to, like, put the phone down and have conversations. So there's always a compromise. If you need to be on your phone to check in with your pals, I get it. But then let's talk about your day. Do you know, that kind of way? Let's talk
and
about what's behind the phone.
Should parents look at their phones?
Well, it depends on the age group. But to be honest with you, if I have a concern and I'm a parent myself, I would say, look, just please show me. I don't have a good feeling. And if they want to fight with me over it and we fall out, or at least I'll feel better that I've checked. So the answer is
this is always a battle for, my kids are all grown up now. They're all in their 20s. But it's always a battle for parents. At what point do they deserve privacy? In other words, you know, is it okay, say, for a 15-year-old or a 14-year-old or a 13-year-old to say, Give me your phone, please. I want to have a look at it. I'm a bit worried about something. Can I have your phone, please?
Yeah.
At what point, and I want your password as well. It's not much use without the password. At what point is it okay to do that? Or at what point do they deserve to have the privacy where they know you're not going to look at their phone?
Well, it's all got to do with trust, isn't it? With someone like you, it's the same as you trust them going out. You have to know that you're trusting them and they're being trusted. You know, like my middle child, he is 11, and I have like a phone thing on, like it's a parents lock on it as well. So when he gets to say 16, like my eldest son was, you take the parent lock off and you have to like give a bit of trust as well, do you know? But I'm going to be honest with you, and I don't know about you, you always notice in their behaviours if something's not right in any way.
Yeah.
And if their behaviours is changing, of course you can question it, and of course you can say, look, I have a concern and I just need to see if everything's all right. I would rather do that than not. Do you know what I mean?
I get the impression from you then 16 you believe is the age where at that point you've got to let them kind of do and make their own mistakes.
I think so. I feel like it's like you're 16 and you're coming towards the 18 mark, that you're trying to be responsible, you're trying to show that I can be trusted kind of thing. So you have to always compromise to know that you're trying to be at their level, but also you're the parent also. Do you know that? Do you know what I mean?
You know, absolutely. So drugs, of course, is a big problem in society. It's more of a problem now than alcohol ever was, particularly cocaine.
Really,
And a lot of that, by the way, is to do with the cost factor too. It's probably cheaper for kids to buy cocaine than it is to buy alcohol, which is shocking. But is that something you're seeing quite a lot of now with young teenagers? And what age groups?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. In the last year, it's getting younger and younger. Well, we only take from 18 up, but we probably have about 10, 18-year-old lads in the drug rehab at this moment in time, and it's more than coke. They're going from coke to crack to. They started off with the hash, you know, and then the worry of all that then is that they get into a drug debt, and then they're selling it just to pay the debt. Then the family's in stress trying to pay it then because it's at the door. So it's huge. It's a pandemic in itself, to be honest with you.
It is.
With the adolescents, that's the truth.
I mean, there's more dangers out there for parents with their kids than there ever was before. My parents, the least, drugs were not a worry. Well, the worst thing they ever had to worry about was me smoking a bit of weed when I was 18 years of age. That was the worst they had to worry. We didn't kind of have this kind of problem that they have now, or maybe I just didn't see it. I don't know.
No, you're right, because it is getting worse. And the families, my heart always goes out to, but you can see the relief in their face when they're in rehab, because they're getting a break from it as well, because it gets that bad. But it can get that bad so quickly because the drugs are hard. It's not like, even like we said, a bit of weed. If they smoke, you can tell them to stop, they can stop. Do you know that kind of way where these are real hard drugs that are going on, which is scary.
And the drugs, of course, coming back to anxiety, the drugs create more anxiety in them as well as the social media and everything else.
Yeah, well, there's one lad in particular that's just popping into my mind while you say that. And like that, he comes across as the tough guy and the hard guy and stuff. And you sit with him and he tells you, like, your jaw be on the floor when he's telling you the amount of drugs he's had to take. And underneath it, he's just full of anxiety trying to fit in the world. But nobody sees that. You just see that he's this tough guy, and he's the names, scumbags, all these names that people would say, you know.
Yeah.
But he's actually genuinely a nice guy that's just been struggling to fit in all his life. And all these factors are all behind this all the time that nobody sees and thinks of.
And do the rehabs work? Because I remember reading stats about rehab now for adults, going back a while ago, that 80% of people don't even bother finishing the course, and the ones that do finish the course, another 50 or 60% of them, I don't know the exact figures, go back out of the street and go back on drugs again. So are the rehab systems that we're using and the way we're using, are we doing it right, or could we be doing it better?
Well, to be honest with you, the system in itself is amazing, and if you want to change and you want to get better, there's so many successful stories that I hear that make it worthwhile. But of course, there's always that percentage that they don't make it because they're just not ready, or they just don't want to. Do you know, the reality of getting clean and sober is more scary than just staying on drugs and in a different reality altogether. Do you know? But I think as we're talking about the adolescents, if we focus on the adolescents now and get the help for them now, it's the adults that don't. Then you don't have to worry about help and getting the adults rehab and help. You know, so if we can get it right now with the adolescents, there's men in their 30s and 40s after going through rehab about 4 or 5 times. Like, that's all their life, really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
And they're on drugs since they're teenagers, you know?
So, and when it comes to all social problems, including antisocial and dangerous antisocial behaviour, nipping that at the bud at an early age. We saw what we saw in the videos in Ballyfermot there during the year in Cherry Orchard. And these are kids at 12 and 13 who are essentially have become wild because they're seeing their peers doing it and they feel it's okay. Yeah. And maybe it's bad guidance. I don't know, parental guidance as well. That doesn't probably help if you don't have good parents. So what do we do? How do we nip all that antisocial behaviour in the bud? Because those kids all have problems. They don't know that, but we know that they have a problem.
Well, first of all, it's very easy for us to judge when we look at the news and see that. It's like we all judge straight away. If someone says they don't judge, that's a judgment in itself. But it's not judging and just go, what is going on for that young fella? What is actually happening for him that he's behaving like this, you know? Like he's struggling in some shape or form to fit in or to be seen or heard that he never probably did in his own family. There's loads of really factors to it could be where he's growing up, his family, he could be getting bullied, and all of a sudden he's involved with this group that are on the streets and they like him and he feels important, and then he's fitting in, and that's him then, do you know, that kind of way?
Yeah, he's getting attention.
It's just like being a bit more aware of what could be going on with these young fellas and these girls on the streets without judging. And if you ever get an opportunity to talk to them, it's like, what's actually happening for you? What's going on for you? You know, because I know as a teenager I struggle with a lot of stuff myself, and I'll never forget the first adult to ask me, and I was in school, a teacher, what's actually wrong with you? Yeah. And I just cried, and I was like, I'll tell you. You know, do
you want to? Have you got an hour? Yeah, sit down there.
Exactly.
And do you find they open up to you? I mean, children that are teenagers. That, as you mentioned earlier on, the word scumbag and all that kind of stuff. So teenagers that we, from the outside looking in, we say bad news, bad problem, they're evil little kids, they're criminals, they're all this kind of. But do you find when you sit down and talk to them, are they willing to open up? And you see that different side of them. Are they willing to open up?
Absolutely. They absolutely are. And you know what? No child was born bold. Circumstances had made them that way. Circumstances and situations that you've gone through in their life has made them that way. So God loved them. They sit in front of me and they already have this macho thing that you have to be this way on the streets. And it's just like, well, all you want to know is that they are good. You know, they haven't been told that they've been good. And there's so many other factors as well that I'm actually seeing a trend of. There's a lot of them that they're undiagnosed with stuff like ADHD is huge. I've actually a fella that was 30 years of age. He's full of ADHD, but in school he was called bold, and on the streets he was called bold. His mum probably would have said he was bold because she didn't understand. So if the world is telling you you're bold, you're going to be bold. Yeah. And he was a great kid, but he was just full of ADHD. And for him to learn about his addiction was, first of all, to learn about his ADHD, to learn about how he actually works in his own mind, how he reacts and stuff like that. And it's changed his whole life because he understands himself now. And that's
has that particular individual now turned his life around?
He's doing amazing. He rings me every couple of weeks to let me know he's still doing great. And they're the stories that still burst my heart and makes my job worthwhile. You know? Yeah. So, and all it is just being misunderstood. That's just one prime example, you know? So there's loads of different factors that we have to think of, really, don't we?
Yeah, well, I suppose the message we're getting tonight is keep an eye on your kids. Don't just leave the phone to babysit them. Keep an eye on them and be always conscious of you if you feel they're suffering from anxiety. And I suppose talking is the main thing we've learned, isn't it?
And you know what? Always watch your child's behaviour. If they're not talking, their behaviour will always tell you everything. So if I can give that to any parent that's listening tonight, their behaviour will tell you everything. If they're not behaving the way they normally, there's something not right with them. So they take the phone off and communicate and talk until you can get it out of them, because you probably don't know how to say it, but their behaviour tells you everything.
Well, listen, it's been lovely talking to you, Catherine.
Oh, thank you, and thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Now, you've got your own private practice, by the way. Do you have a website or something that people can go to get information? Or
I don't know. I'm just on the Long Mile Road. I just do my own private practice, or else I do be in a tie working in the rehab. So,
okay.
No, I probably am on YouTube or the website, or not website. Sorry, Google. If you Google my name, probably. But if not, you'll find me if you need me, some shape or form.
just shout and we'll find you. Catherine Noonan, she's a psychotherapist. She's based in Dublin. She's out on the Long Mile Road if you're looking for her. And if you're looking for any advice for your kids. Listen, thank you very much indeed, Catherine. It's been a pleasure talking to you. See you, bye.
Real people, real opinions, Real Talk Radio, the multi-award winning Niall Boylan Show.